Volatile and Sexy, or Vacillating and Senseless?
Yeah.
Yes, someone referred to General Hospital as volatile and sexy. We'll tell you who, and we'll talk about that, plus a million other things on this week's podcast. Welcome to episode 18 on January 17, 2025. I have to keep saying that because I am one of those people who keep writing 2024 halfway to the next year. So I'm Snark Jr. and
I'm Mama Snark, and we are coming to you live from wherever we are. David's in a closet. We're not going to even go
location.
No secret location.
I'm in Spinelli's trailer.
There you go.
Let's get right into this. Did we wish her back into existence? Selina Wu is back.
Yep, we take full credit. Full credit for that one.
Yeah, I'm sure they're reading us. But Volatile and Sexy. Yes, the very head writers of General Hospital called their show Volatile and Sexy. They basically said, we don't care, it's a mess. It's this. Now, volatile, yeah. Sexy, Mama Snark? Sexy?
No. There's been zero sex, mercifully, for the last several weeks. And there is nothing sexy going on right now unless you call Willow and Drew getting their comeuppance sexy. And yeah, in a way, it is a little sexy.
But I still think it's vacillating because, again, as I've mentioned many, many times, do we know? Yes, things are happening, but do we know if there's a plot in there? I'm not so sure. And this week, did Lulu disappear this week?
Oh, but she came back for a minute to talk to Laura and catch her up on all. Once again, remember we talked about last week, and I've mentioned on the page that we have two different episodes that show up for us. It's either one where we have 3 or 4 main stories that we're following through the whole thing, or like yesterday where they threw everybody. We had Curtis, we had Alexis, we had Selina, we had Tracy. I mean, I could go on. It was like everyone and their we even had Dr. Navarro and Brooklyn, didn't we? Or was that the day before? It's like, let's throw everybody into the cast on the show.
Yeah. Oh, you haven't seen them for a while. Plunk.
Right. Oh, oops. They still owe us 4 hours on their contract. We better get them in here.
Yeah, that's probably actually more the thinking than, they're part of this plot. Maybe they should be in it.
I want to go back to this article that you're referring to because I read it. So Michael Fairman, I think he's the one that posted it, that he had an interview with the head writers, and this is where they made this proclamation of being volatile and sexy. But what was really interesting to me in that article is what he said about what happens in the writer's room. I can't quote it, but basically it was something to the effect of, it's open forum. We don't care how weird and freaky it is. We just throw all kinds of things out there. And often the freakiest thing wins. And we're all going, yeah, absolutely. And you guys need to take your medication because what's showing up now is really weird.
Yeah, this isn't creative writing class.
Right.
This is real life. We expect some level of quality. And yeah, the zaniest idea must win. Because it's like, who else can come up with, let's blame Heather's many years of psychotic serial killer behavior on a bad hip replacement that nobody knew she had in the first place.
Ew, retcon, everything's retcon. We're going to retcon all day long. Sorry.
It still snags them a Writers Guild nomination. And as a member of the Writers Guild, I'm ashamed. I'm embarrassed. But again, if you know how the thing works, they only have to submit 2 episodes. And what do you bet one of them is Bobby's memorial?
There have been some great episodes. I don't want to throw the GH writers completely under the bus. Right. We just need to roll over their legs a little bit. There have been some mistakes lately. One that I noticed was yesterday. Carly shows up at the accused and Tracy greets her at the door. And the first thing that Tracy says is, well, you can go upstairs and see the kids, but you can't take them away. Then they have their whole conversation where Carly is making a whole lot of sense and Tracy isn't. And then Tracy says, you can't see the kids. Get out. I don't know.
Yeah.
That felt really weird to me, like some script, like somebody missed the dialogue there and what was
Or
going
they switched the characters or something.
on. Yeah, I don't even know. So up until yesterday, and yesterday was Thursday when we had this thing with Tracy and Carly, up until yesterday, I was thoroughly on board with the Wiley Amelia custody story. It made
Yeah.
sense. It was interesting. We had Tracy throw, but yesterday things kind of fell apart. And it was like,
Yeah.
at this point, Tracy, you're being stupid. Willow is having a nervous breakdown and sudden revelations about her personality. We figure that she had a secret invisible therapy session with Kevin, and that's what made her change her mind.
Or she read last week's General Hospital recap.
There you go. The kid kerfuffle needs to be wrapped up now. It needs to be wrapped up today. Of course, we don't know because we haven't seen today's episode yet.
Right. Remember the days when we didn't see the kids at all? And now it's like, it's all about the kids.
And
It's
I'm
all
okay
about
with that.
kids.
We're still not seeing the kids, really. We're talking about the kids. I mean, we did see Amelia this week for the first time in since she was an embryo, I think. And
Well, yeah, long time.
yeah, it's been a long time. So we have proof of life that Amelia does exist. We're not really sure about Bailey Lou, but we're hoping for her. We're pulling for her.
Right.
But the other kid thing they're shoving down our throat is this Kai and Trina football fiasco.
Let me move my chair back because if Kai comes in the room, I want to make sure both of us fit in the frame.
He is so tall.
He's tall.
This is Kai and this is Trina, and we can't get them in the shot unless we pan way back.
Why did they do that? I mean, somebody even asked Susan Lucci at this event I went to earlier in the week about who was your favorite husband or lover on the show, and it ended up being Walt Willey, who I think is like 6'6" or 6'4".
So tall.
I mean, he's tall too. And she said, "Well, yeah, I became known for putting my hand on his chest because that's as high as up as I could reach."
That is a cameraman's nightmare to do something like that. It really is.
But I've never seen it so blatant.
We've never had a football story. We've never even had a sports story on General Hospital before, have we?
Yeah.
In the sense
well,
of
I mean, who knew Port Charles was such a football town? Friday Night Lights.
I don't even want to give that any more energy than we have to because it's just ridiculous and it's taking up way too much time right now.
So let's talk about All My Kids, All My Children.
Yeah, tell us about that.
Well, a lot of people on the page have been asking, well, where can I watch this? Is this going to be on Peacock? When is this coming on? Blah, blah, blah. And I've been sort of copying and pasting the same answer. What it was an event at the 92nd Street Y, which has a big cultural center. It's the Young Men's Hasidic Association on 92nd Street and Lexington Avenue in New York. They do these talks all the time with celebrities. I believe this was Susan Lucci driven, that they did this All My Children at 55. Somebody mentioned on the page, but they haven't been on for 55 years. Well, no, it's 55 years since the beginning of the show, since the show premiere. So it was Andy Cohen, and he interviewed Susan Lucci, Erica Kane, Jill Larson, Opal Gardner, Cortland.
Oh, she looks so cute in those pictures. She's just gotten to be a cute old lady.
Ida Regal, who is Bianca. Jennifer Bassi, who's one of my favorite people in the world, and was Marion Colby. And also, if people remember, Quinn Danvers in the Manlanders book publishing fiasco of 2017. She did several episodes back then. Francesca James, who was one of the original cast members, Kitty, and Kelly Tyler. She played dual roles, one of the first to do so.
Kelly Ripa, did you say?
Kelly Ripa, yes, yeah. Kelly Ripa, Haley Santos. And, well, the last writer for the broadcast version of All My Children, but she mentored under Agnes Nixon, Lorraine Broderick. She was the last head writer of the show. And finally, Judy Bly Wilson, who cast many of our favorite people on the show and talked about some of the celebrities that she cast happened to them. One of the interesting stories was she had originally cast Chadwick Boseman, Jack Montgomery's adopted son. People think casting is, the casting director casts and that's it. No, she explained the process. Not only does the casting director cast, they give several choices to the network, the executive producer, the writers, everybody's involved with casting. And she said, it's quite frustrating when you find like a Chadwick Boseman to then have the network say, yeah, we'll put him on the air, but we need to replace him. Well, they did replace him with Michael B. Young, who ended up being in Rocky and doing all these great
Well,
movies
and
now.
Chadwick Boseman did not have a whole lot of problems after that.
Yeah, unfortunately, he passed at an early age. The original ending of All My Children, how it ended with a bunch of cliffhangers, was not supposed to be the original ending. I think a lot of people knew this because of the Prospect Park reboot. They had to rewrite everything at the last minute and turn everything into a cliffhanger.
Talk about
Now,
fiascos in soap history. Prospect
yeah,
Park is really up there.
that and One Life to Live, really, their endings were terrible because of that,
Hmm.
because of having to make that change. And then, of course, those online reboots did not last.
No, and it took
Um,
them so long to get there. So we would all lost the plot by that point too.
they talked a lot about how soaps used to be taped, which was, as a repertory company, half hour in order. So everybody got to watch everybody's work. And Susan Lucci mentioned as a young actress, she was like 23, 24. That was a terrific training ground to
Oh my
watch these other.
gosh, can you imagine? Yeah.
And a lot of these actors too were also in theater at night. They'd finish up taping 4 o'clock in the afternoon. They'd go home, take their disco nap, eat a little something, then go to the theater and work at night. So it was quite like a very tight knit company. And of course, when they went to an hour, that was lost because the production schedule changed. And they did mention quite a bit General Hospital because of Gloria Monty. She was the first person to change that production schedule and film it more like a nighttime program where you're doing things, bits and pieces in sets. You're doing several episodes at once. And Francesca James said quite lovingly that Gloria Monty might have changed soaps. Was it for the better? You decide. She did say, even though Gloria Monty had the production values, Agnes Nixon had the heart. And soaps went from people having conversations and talking and dealing with problems to action adventure.
Right.
And so something was lost in the 80s in that transition. I know it was a very exciting time. I don't know about you, but back then watching General Hospital, I loved it, but sometimes I really hated it because sometimes it was like too much action. And of course, they weren't spending a lot of money on sets. Now, they did do a lot of location shooting back then.
Back in the day, we actually got to go outside, and now we
Yeah.
only get to go to Snark Park. But hey, we'll take what we can get.
Or the back lot of GH,
The-
when it fills in for something else.
yeah.
But it was a lot of fun. And also in the audience, we had William Christian, who was Officer Derek Fry, Sandy Gabriel, who played Edna Thornton, both Bob Nixon, Agnes Nixon's son. People remember Ray McDonald, Joe Martin, his daughter were also attending. But I mean, you could see the show's been off the air now
10 years.
over a decade.
Yeah.
And there's still, that place was packed. There are still very fervent fans. And I'm not a big fan of Andy Cohen, but he was a great interviewer because he was a fan of the show. So he knew his subject quite well. And it was only an hour, but everybody was like, oh, we could have sat here for like
Oh, I
4
bet.
hours. If you're interested in watching it, you just have to go to the 92nd Street Y website, I think, and you can purchase the live stream for $25 to watch it. But
Right.
it's a great hour. Yeah. Moving on now, it's text messages.
It's time for text messages from Wicked Stepmother. And if you remember, Wicked Stepmother was on General Hospital and she knew Leslie Charleson. And so there was a lot of grief this week. Her text messages were just basically us. I'm not going to read them because, first of all, Leslie was an icon. If you have not gone back and seen all the work she did that wasn't General Hospital, you will be amazed. This woman was a working actor and for many, many, for her whole life. So props to her. But my stepmom wanted everyone to know about how kind Leslie was and how she made her feel welcome on set. I mean, here's Leslie, the star of the show at this point in the 70s, right? I mean, she was like, she was the Carly of the 70s. And when my stepmom came on, they met each other, and Leslie was very kind. And so this is definitely the end of an era. It's interesting in the writing right now. It really is very prescient that Tracy is talking about Monica, and this whole custody thing has to do with Monica, and yet we're sitting here knowing that what's eventually happening, and it's sad. But in another sense, Leslie had a lot of health issues for the last probably decade. And
Yeah.
so she is now out of pain, out of discomfort, and, rest in peace, dear Leslie. You gave us many, many hours of great entertainment.
Oh,
We have the people who watch this podcast leave us comments, and we love your comments. We will answer if you ask questions. We will respond to your comments. So please let us know what you like, what you don't like, what you'd like us to talk about, and any other thing you'd like to share. If you'd like to share a reflection on Leslie Charleson, we would love to read that. I don't know, David. It's been a wild week, and we've got more weird things happening coming up. We've got the Brooklyn Chase baby Geo situation.
Baby Geo's like 22 now.
I'm going to start calling him Baby Geo.
He does have that adorable little baby face. So.
Right. We have what's going to happen to Michael. Is he going to be shipped off to some clinic somewhere, never to be recast, or I don't even know. And I'm sure there's.
It's too bad Crichton Clark blew up.
It is. That was a really good.
We could bring back Dr. Obrect.
Oh, yeah. Let's bring her in on this.
Well, okay, so we have to start wishing her back.
Yeah.
Now.
Okay. We've got Selina back. Now we're going to work on Liesel because we love Liesel. Of course, she doesn't really fit onto the canvas at all at this point, but who cares? We love her. So I want to talk about my favorite character of the week.
Okay. Last week it was Eden McCoy.
Last week I talked about Eden McCoy. The character that I love this week was Nina. She has done a fantastic job of being the mediator between the crazy people who are now making decisions about her grandchildren. Now, Nina is your classic kind of manic pixie postmenopausal person, and I love her for that, right? But she's kind of working for me right now. I am loving Nina in this new iteration of her. So I want to presence that. I also want to give a sub shout out. It's a sub shout out. What is that? To Tracy. Like I said earlier in the Snarkcast, Tracy has, in her snarkiness with all the Corinthos and with the people, has been great. But I'm over it now, and it needs to move along, and we need to rectify this. But those are my characters of the week.
That's great. And Nina, to me, again, is acting more like the Nina we knew before the whole Nixon Falls.
We're all still traumatized by Nixon Falls.
Yeah, I never thought I'd get over Manlanders, but Nixon Falls did it.
I'm still not over Manlanders, but mercifully, I don't have to think about it. You're having Manlanders hallucinations. Please let us know in the comments.
I should mention this one story because it has to deal with Michael E. Knight, who's not so Tad Martin, because they talked about, of course, the years ago, very famous storyline on All My Children where she had an affair with her daughter Liza's boyfriend, which was played by Michael E. Knight. She said the producers came to her, and I think at that point, Jennifer was like in her early 40s, maybe late 30s. And they said, "Oh, we're casting your love interest, and he's 21 years old." And she was like, "Bring it on."
Cougar Town. Yeah.
She was the original Cougar before that was a thing. She said one time there was I don't remember this, but there was a point in the story where they all thought Tad was dead because they were talking about replacing actors on soaps and how does that go? You're doing a scene with one actor one day and then the next day it's somebody else. And she said, Michael E. Knight had broken his collarbone. Oh. So he was out and it was Tad's funeral and everybody was going up to the coffin and they would look in and it's like somebody else playing the role. But
wrong body here. We got the wrong body. Yeah.
That is the nature of soaps. For General Hospital Snark, that's it. Follow, give us suggestions, questions, whatever you may. For Mama Snark and I, we'll see you next week.